Hi guys, Josie here, and you're listening to the Yoga Local podcast. Welcome. Today I'm speaking to anyone who feels like they are distant from the dreams and the goals that they've set for themselves, or perhaps maybe it's just about finding time to prioritize them. Maybe they're on the back burner and have been for way too long. And as a result of that, there could be some really unhelpful, negative thought patterns rattling around in that untamed mind of yours. So anything from, why haven't I done it already? Why haven't I pursued this earlier? Am I running out of time? Have I got the skills? Have I got the energy now to pursue my dreams? Or maybe it's the fact that you've started, but it's not what you imagined it to be. Maybe you've hit a wall and you don't know how to push through. So having done a little dreaming of my own, specifically in the past 5 years, I'm here to tell you today that it's really never too late to follow through on your dreams. In fact, it's really important that you don't. From a well-being point of view, we need to start thinking about how we weave those soul-driven desires back into our world. And of course, yoga is that secret sauce that's going to get you there. So why do dreams matter? Even if you are getting on a bit, right? This is not just for the young at heart. The dreamers of this world are not all kind of, young and have all their lives ahead of them. So even if you've been around the block a few times, it's important that we have direction. It's important that we have purpose. It's important that we have a reason for getting out of bed in the morning. These dreams, these soul-driven desires, these is what the yogis would call dharma. It's our purpose. It's why we were put on this earth, and they're the fuel for our soul. If we follow those, if we follow that calling, then we are living in alignment. And if we're not, we're misaligned. So it's really important that we don't ignore our dreams. And it's the difference between, say, going through the motions, living life to a certain level, certain comfort, maybe a little mundane. There's no kind of big highs and lows, but it's, there's also not that real sense of living and being alive in full HD Technicolor, right? It's the difference between, going back to black and white days. It's just kind of not quite as vivid. It's not as bold. And I want you to feel the discomfort of that. And it is a very disconcerting feeling to realize that maybe you're not following through on those dreams and goals that you set for yourself, however long ago, whether it was something that you set for yourself when you were young, or whether these are new dreams and goals that you've highlighted for yourself. It's really important to feel that discomfort. We practice this in yoga. When we're holding you for poses for a certain amount of time, getting you to stay with the discomfort. This is practice for staying with the discomfort in life when you really need to get that message that something needs to shift, something needs to change for you to realign to what you know is what you truly desire in life. And respect those feelings, because if we package them and then put them back into our energetic field, they get stored, and it starts to create this negativity in the body, this toxic kind of conversation which starts to feed into everything, all aspects of your life, all the negative tendencies. You start to doubt yourself. You're less kind of convinced that you've got what it takes. And the more that we buy into those negative thoughts and feelings and all those kind of squirreling away observations that maybe we haven't fulfilled on our promises to ourselves, that's going to have the exact opposite effect of getting us motivated to actually turn things around. We start feeding those thoughts, we start believing those thoughts, and essentially then we end up in mediocre city, and feeling less capable of following through on those dreams, and even sadly giving up on them. And that's not what we're here for. And it's never too late to turn that ship around. And as I say, yoga is the practice that will help you to weave those dreams back into your world. You might be thinking, how on earth does yoga do that? And you would be completely, You'd be completely a reasonable person to think, well, that's not what I thought yoga was all about, but it absolutely is. So I want you to think about, have you ever noticed how if you're stressed, you had a real kind of stressful day, it starts to show up physically, stiff neck, stiff shoulders. It can show up in all areas of the body, bad back, migraines, headaches. And conversely, when you're excited or when you have a sense of joy and liberation and freedom, you actually feel lighter in your body. So that's the mind-body connection at work. It's well talked about now in the modern world, but it's really born from these ancient teachings. And by practicing yoga in the traditional sense, that's what we're doing. That's what we're learning to do, starting to listen to that mind-body connection. And when we do start to really tune in and align to soul-driven desires, thoughts, feelings, and move away from those negative thought patterns, that's when we start to shape our mental state, our emotional state, and bring us into more receptivity for feeling energized, for feeling insightful, for taking that next step. Even if it's something really small, we start, slowly kind of turning the wheel in the other direction. You can think of these negative thought patterns as what they call vrittis, the spinning of the mind. And it becomes a cycle that we just start to loop, and it can take some momentum to really slow that down and then redirect to something more empowering, more tuned in and more connected to our dreams. And that's essentially part of what we're doing in yoga. So when you're aware of this connection, when you're aware that you can start to have control of that narrative, and you can witness it, you can witness what state you're in any moment, then you have that opportunity to start to question and tune in to that part of you that is empowered, the part of you that had that dream in the first place, that was inspired in the first place. We tap into that frequency and start to be led by that current of energy and that wave of energy, that frequency of energy that's going to slowly start to pull us more in the direction of our dreams. And instead of letting negative thoughts getting hold of us, we start to create those new powerful positive thoughts that are going to fuel our dreams. Okay, are you with me so far? It's pretty amazing stuff, and harnessing the power of our imagination is has such potential for us. And I feel like I'm a particularly creative person, and that's when I feel I come to life, when I'm in that creative process. So I want you just to maybe think of a moment in your life when you felt particularly inspired and creative, and how that felt, the kind of thought patterns that were available to you, because they're still there. They've just got clouded by all the junk. And our practice is working to, first of all, eliminate that junk, allow us to steer the mind out of its lower mind tendencies into something more productive, and then we start to operate from that space. Like everything, and I have to emphasize this every time, it's a process. And so we have to start committing to ourselves at some point. It's not just about like one quick fix, one how-to. This is lifelong practice. And because, even a dedicated practicing yogi is going to come across moments in their life when they've been misdirected, misaligned. The the pressures on us externally are that you know, we would be foolish to think that once you know this stuff, you've got it down, right? So we have to keep practicing, and it is a process. This is the bit that people don't want to hear, but it's the truth. And, you know, if you want results, just like anything, you've got to put the time in, you've got to follow the process. There's a method to it that has been passed to us. And there's, you know, this awesome sense of gratitude that we also maybe need to bring to the table when we're practicing these teachings, because all of this is coming from the tradition, and we maybe just discount it sometimes as you know, just kind of mumbo jumbo, airy fairy, woo woo kind of claptrap, and that will be influencing, you know, your ability to take on board some of these teachings. So again, that's some of that work that we have to do to assess those thoughts, assess those belief systems, and just be inquisitive. Like, is that true? And can I actually do that deeper work where, you know, I can make my own mind up? You know, somebody somewhere may have influenced my way of thinking on that. So that's going to really limit how much you can embrace any of these teachings, to be fair. So whatever we're teaching here, just to re-emphasize, is coming out of a traditional lineage-based toolbox, and everything is tried and tested. It's a science, and as a science, it has reliable results when you follow the science. So this is not something I'm making up. This is something that I'm passing on. Okay, so cultivating the power of our imagine is something specifically in the tantric toolbox. Imagination isn't just daydreaming in the yoga world. It's a real powerful form of transformation where we're using the power of our minds. Our minds are amazing when we're using them appropriately, when we're not allowing our minds to become embroiled in all that negative noise. So let me just explain a few of the Sanskrit terms that we will be explaining, educating you on when you come here to practice, because, you know, I'm all about the why, and that was our theme last month, find meaning. It's important that you have a sense of the meaning, so that when you are approaching these teachings, you have some kind of ground to build on, right? It is, when you get into yoga in a deep way, it does get a little bit more weird. But that's because we're moving into very subtle realms of our beings, realms that we haven't explored before, realms that the mind has not explored before. And whenever there's anything unknown, there's this very real part of our system that wants to keep us safe, and so it's harder to go there. But again, this is where these practices come in over time, and with practice we can start to challenge the information that is helpful or the information that is holding us back. So there's 4 terms that I want to speak on. First of all, vikalpa. So vikalpa are the random thoughts that clutter our minds every day. Yoga can help us clear all that stuff out and leave room for the good stuff. And then we move to kalpana. So this is the ability of the mind to imagine and aspire towards our goals. So you can think of this as your inner creative force. Pratibha. Now, this is true creative imagination. So this is those aha moments that come from nowhere. They're coming from, you know, a much higher place. And when we're keyed in to our dharmic flow, those downloads, right? It's like a digital download. it's true creative inspired thinking, those bolts of lightning, when you call it a light bulb moment. That's what we'd call pratibha, those true creative imaginings. And then bhavana, this is yogic contemplation and visioning. So there is an element of visualization in yoga, starting to call them into existence through our focused thoughts and feelings. And then by using these imaginative powers, we can start to feel and sense our dreams as more potentials, more possibility. There's another term that you'll hear me kind of banning about the studio if you're either attending here in person or if you're online, and that is sankalpa. So sankalpa is a Sanskrit word which means to vow, like it's a real deep, firm resolve. This is not a maybe I will, or well, I'll just put it off until next week, next month, next year. This is what I'm doing. I am going to do it, and there's really no room for, or no wiggle room for any objections or interruptions. And so what that means is we're getting really crystal clear on what it is that we want and what we want to do, and commit to it. I use this when I'm about to embark on a 40-day sadhana. So we set that intention. It can be just before your practice, your daily practice. Set that intention, sankalpa. What's the firm resolve? What is it that you're going to put into being in that moment? What are you going to bring that firm resolve to? Whether it's in the practice environment, you've made that firm resolve to stay with your breathing regardless of external distraction and how the body feels. Are you going to just commit to being with the breath? So it's then gives you that confidence that you can, when you put your mind to it, do anything that you set out to do. It gives you those little subtle reminders about your power and the power of your mind. And start small, right? If you feel like you're going to kind of quit on yourself, start small, and let's start reinforcing those abilities, and start daring to dream, start daring to pursue something that you hadn't thought possible. And there's massive transformational effects to be born from this. Yoga really does transform our life, and not just because we're getting a little bit more flexible along the way, which has nothing, by the way, to do with yoga. Flexibility is just the byproduct. Like, what if I could tell you that there's the benefits are way, way bigger than that? So we can move from self-doubt to belief, right? Start obliterating that negative chatter. Stop thinking, I can't, I'm too old, I'm past my best, I don't have the energy. Start questioning those thoughts, and then steering that mind into a new direction so you can start reclaiming your potential, remembering your connection to who you are, remembering that connection to your dreams and where they're coming from, which is soul informed. And using all that then as a source of wisdom, all your experience, and cracking on, from that point. So then we start to move ourselves out of procrastination into activity. And with that clearer mind that we have, with a stronger resolve, that clear intention, we can start moving forward and delivering on those personal goals. And also, very important, is taking that action to come to practice, to keep coming back to practice. As I mentioned earlier, life will get in the way, things will come and go. We'll all get distracted by external circumstances, situations, people, places. Everything will come at you to move you away from your dreams. So the challenge there is stay with your practice, to keep leaning into them, even during those hard times. And that's going to build your resilience, and it's also going to move you forward. You know, even if it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, the momentum is there, and you're going to move less away from where you want to be. You're going to stay on track. So that's what I wanted to kind of introduce you to today in class, in the studio. These teachings are going to be something that we're working on a daily basis. So you can come and join us for class, both here and online, and start to get introduced to working with the power of the creative mind and radically reimagining who you are and moving towards your fullest potential. I mean, I don't think there's any goal worth pursuing more, like maximizing your potential, really living your life, following through on your dreams, and having all those kind of benefits along the way of making those steps towards it. You know, it does feed into everything, or feed into your entire life, not just anything that you're trying to achieve with goals and dreams, but, you know, if you can imagine how this will then impact on other areas of your life. We could start, you know, being more capable in our relationships, more stronger in our careers, and more daring to take risks and go for things that sometimes we may be playing small around. And with your family, they see this transformation and it inspires them. It has a ripple effect that you will never even know, to be fair. That's certainly my experience, you know, in terms of what I've dared to dream, what I've created over this last 5 years. And that's a reminder, actually, that I'm celebrating. We're doing basically a mini yoga festival, and we're celebrating 5 years of this whole business called Yoga Local, which I dared to dream just over 6 years ago, and we've been 5 years in business. So please have a look around the website in the events pages, because it's going to be really special to share the accomplishments with you. And hopefully on that day and throughout this month, I'm going to really encourage you and inspire you to step into your own dreams, use these tools and techniques to deliver you into that space. Come and join us, come and celebrate with us, and be brave, be bold, and step into all that you can be. Okay, so I'll leave you with that. That's 22nd of June, by the way. So everyone's welcome, and we'd love to see you there. All right, take care, bye for now.